Yay, it's you. Welcome back to The One Behind the Lens, the podcast for photographers who are building businesses with heart, hustle, and a whole lot of honesty. I'm your host, Kate DeCoste, and today's episode is something a little special. This bonus episode takes you behind the scenes of Shutter Up and Celebrate, the official live launch party for the podcast. It was filled with confetti-level joy, the best kind of creative energy, and honestly, I got a little choked up. Because after months of dreaming, planning, recording, and re-recording, we were finally here, launch day. And it was overwhelming in the very best way. You'll hear from our incredible guest speakers, including business coach Megan Yelaney, who brought the fire with her storytelling strategy, and photographer/nutritionist Ivy Towler, who reminded us why taking care of ourselves matters just as much as taking care of our business. And of course, we couldn't have a party without a few laughs, so get ready for some photo confessions from multiple photographers who were brave enough to spill the truth on moments behind the scenes that didn't go quite as planned. You're going to relate, you're going to laugh, and you might even cringe in the best way. Whether you were with us live or you're tuning in now, thank you. I'm so glad that you're here. Let's celebrate what's possible and shine a little light on what it really means to be the one behind the lens. Welcome to the One Behind the Lens, the show for photographers building bold, beautiful businesses behind the lens. I'm Kate Biz Bestie and I got one thing to say before we begin. I want to welcome you to Shutter Up and Celebrate. Yay, it's you live. I am Kate DeCoste, the host of The One Behind the Lens, and I am so grateful you're here today to help launch this little dream into the world. Whether you're a friend, a listener, a speaker, a sponsor, or just here for the good vibes and giveaways, this is truly a celebration of you, the creatives, the photo dreamers, the ones behind the lens who are building bold, beautiful businesses with heart. This podcast was born out of a desire to have real conversations about what it actually takes to go full-time as a photographer, especially if you're from a small town like me, or if you've ever felt like you didn't fit the mold. A little rewind for a sec. This podcast has been a dream of mine for a few years now. I wanted to create something that wasn't just interviews or highlight reels, but instead felt like sitting down with your best biz friend for a cozy, honest, energizing conversation. Truthfully, I never imagined I'd be back here in Nebraska, let alone my hometown of Wahoo, but life has a way of rerouting you in the most unexpected ways. I didn't set out to be a photographer. My background is actually in theater, and before I found myself building a photography business in the Midwest, I was stage managing in New York City, running cue sheets, not camera settings. Now, I'm photographing mainly seniors and headshots in the same town I grew up in, running a business rooted in creativity, confidence, and connection. Launching this podcast feels like the perfect blend of where I've been and where I'm going, using my theater tech skills plus a little of the stage presence to bring honest conversations to life. This show is for the woman raising kids and raising her prices, for the creative craving clarity, not just content, and for the photographer who wants to grow without losing themselves in the process. If that is you, I am so glad that you are here. Ooh, goodness. I did not think I was going to cry, but if you know me well, which a lot of you do, you know I am an emotional person. So before we go any further, I want to give a big shout out to the amazing sponsors who've helped make this launch party possible. All of these sponsors have graciously given to either the toolkit giveaways or both. So first up is Taylor Aller, who is from Aller Enterprises, my systems strategist, and the reason this whole thing is actually happening. The coffee roaster who I did see come on. I saw Sam and Vince on there in Lincoln, Nebraska. And thank you so much for keeping us caffeinated and creative. White House Custom Color, your print quality and support for photographers is unmatched. Photobiz.com for building websites that actually work for photographers. Rockbrook Camera, thank you for so much for supporting the Lincoln and Omaha photo community in such a big way. Huge thank you to all of you for backing this launch and believing in this creative community. Let's keep going bold and building with heart. So now we are going to do our mini guest panel. I'm super excited for this. These are some guests that I had on season 1 and going to be on season 2. So our first guest is Megan Yelaney. She is a powerhouse business coach, dynamic speaker, and host of Business Not As Usual podcast. Through her signature distinctive edge framework, she's guided clients from feeling overlooked to being fully booked, and even reaching $1 million years without chasing trends or burnout.
Hey, yeah.
Hello.
I'm so excited
Yay.
to be here. It's such a special day for you. I'm so pumped to be a part of this.
I'm so glad that you are here. Thank you so much.
Of course. Yay.
So I have a few questions for you.
Yeah.
The first one is, what's one mistake you see entrepreneurs make when telling their story?
Great question. So I really wanted to sit with the questions you gave me because they're so good. So I do have some notes. So if you see me looking, it's because I want to make sure I get you guys all the juice. So one of the biggest things, I love talking about storytelling. And I think it's something that even actually, especially service providers hide away from a little bit because they're not necessarily front facing, right? If you're a coach, which I work with a lot of coaches, it's very easy to go, oh yeah, I have to tell my story. But I have seen this, worked with a lot of website designers, copywriters, things like that. And this process has really changed the game for them. And with storytelling in particular, kind of like a mistake people make is they will share the transformation. They'll share like the before and the after, but that's where where it ends. And so they'll get a lot of like, you're so inspirational. That was such a great story and likes, but no DMs, no inquiries. And it's frustrating. I'm sure people here have been there where they're like, okay, great, that posted okay, but no one inquired. What did I do wrong? Right. And the reason is it's not positioning you as relatable and an authority. Now, being relatable is great. If someone can see themselves in your story, amazing. But if they don't also look at you as an expert, they're not going to necessarily hire you because they want to hire an expert that's going to help them, right? So that's what we need to weave in. So there's 3 specific parts of a story that I notice people leave out. And this is when you're sharing like your business origin story, like why are you doing what you're doing, right? One of the biggest things is the impact that your work makes. So you can start your story out with like a moment that you knew you needed to make a change, right? Your catalyst moment, your before. Everyone kind of does that, their before. And then they'll do a little bit there after. But what was the impact that after had on you? So a question that you guys can all write down. How did solving your problem like really, really change your life for the better? What was like a domino effect? You're like, oh my gosh, that really impacted me. Then I became a photographer, or then I realized I picked up a camera, right? What was that impact on you? The second thing is, what is that mission? And that's really like sharing the clients that you've helped. So not only did that experience have an impact on you to start a business, but now you're actually working with clients, right? Why are you so passionate about helping your clients solve the same problem that maybe you had? And then the third part, which is really, really integral to standing out from everyone else who's essentially promising the same thing, right? Is what is your unique edge? I love to call your unique edge, or your process, your framework, the steps that you really take a client through when you're working with them. And so, what makes your approach a little bit different, right? Your unique edge is like your belief, your value, or your method that really sets you apart. And this is where you showcase again how you're even a tiny bit different. And I've worked with a lot of photographers. I know there's going to be other kinds of service pros listening, but I've worked with a ton of photographers on the other end. And I see very different methods for all of the people that I've worked with. And I will choose someone based on that. And in fact, one of the reasons that I'll choose someone just because this is who I am is the comfortability. If they will help me make the poses, if they will tell me what to do essentially and like guide me, because I'm horrible at that. Now, not every photographer is probably going to do that, and that's okay. They're probably not for me, right? But the ones that will help with that and make me feel really comfortable because I feel very awkward in a photo shoot in the beginning, I warm up and then we get going and we create really great content together. So, what is your process? And a little prompt for you to write down to kind of mull this over is what's like one belief or value that you hold that makes your approach unique, right? Than every other photographer, or a part of the process that you take clients through that's like the game changer for them and why it gets them the results that they want. Okay,
Mm.
so that's my spiel for the first one. Anything like you need more
That was
clarity on,
good.
Kate?
No, I think that was great. I think
Cool.
that was great. Megan, what's like one or like one to three, I guess, low
Mhm.
lift things for photographers to implement their story in their branding now?
Yeah, great question. So I was thinking about this before. Your story really should be like living and breathing through your brand every day. Again, even if you're a photographer, even in tiny ways. So, one is to like use photo captions to share the why behind your work. So, for example, instead of just writing out like what happened at a photo shoot, like this couple was so fun, start weaving in why you love shooting this kind of moment, what it reminded you of, or how it really does tie back to your origin story. So, for example, you could say like these two reminded me why I love photographing elopements. There's something about that like quiet just us energy that like really brings me back to why I picked up a camera in the first place. So there's a human behind it, right? They're not just hiring you because you are going to take a picture of them. There's so much more to it, right? The
Mm-hmm.
second kind of low lift strategy is infusing like micro stories into your bio and like your welcome sequences if you're building your list. You do not need a dramatic origin story, like even like simple little details, like what made you fall in love with photography or your first paid photo shoot, what that was like, or the moments that you wish you captured in your own life. That can build connection. I think that one is something everyone should share is like, what are those moments in your own life you're like, I wish I captured this? And that's why you're doing what you do, because you want to be that person to capture those moments for people, right? And then the third low lift is audit your portfolio with kind of like a storytelling lens. So ask yourself when you're looking, does this gallery like tell a cohesive story about the kind of photographer that I am, right? Or does it kind of feel like a pretty but random highlight reel, right? So if not, like swap out photos that just look good and cool and like, okay, that looks aesthetic for ones that really feel like you. So that you really are weaving in like, okay, this is my style, this is my approach, this is who I am. Choose images that really reflect the like emotions and that you really love to capture for your clients, the people that you really want to serve, the story or animals or pets, which I love, and the story that you really want your brand to tell. So, for example, let's say you're a wedding photographer. I was just at a wedding recently and looking back at the photos. It was a really good friend of mine who got married, and they had so many incredible candid shots. And that's like what she wanted. She's like, the straightforward, the typical wedding shots are great, but she got like us in the moment of dancing and all these like of her little nieces and nephews, all these micro moment photos. And that's what they should really feature besides the regular stuff. Like that tells a story. And that's what, like, as a consumer on the other side, I want those photos. I want those micro moments. So I hope that helps. But those are like three little ways that you can start to weave it in.
Yeah, I love that. And I love the micro moments. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna like write
Yeah.
that one down. That
Good.
one's awesome.
Yeah.
So going with that, Megan, what's the ROI in incorporating your story and why does that matter in a service brand?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Right now, I am seeing storytelling sell better than any other type of content out there across the board. And like I said, I had a website designer specifically in my last round of my program, and we follow a lot of the storytelling stuff. And just started her Instagram, never really shared her story, and she's got a crazy story. And first she's like, how is this gonna like, why is someone gonna hire me to do their website like from my story? Because it really didn't have necessarily a direct link, but there was a thread to get there. And it was all about freedom and having her own time to do things. She had like a crazy accident that completely changed her life and needed a job that was autonomous. And she was able to call the shots that also she was able to be creative. And she got two clients from telling her story over those few months. And she had never posted on Instagram. It was like a brand new platform for her. And one of them said specifically, you sharing your dog really connected me to you. That was part of her story. Right. And so when I say story too, it's not just like, here's my origin story, but parts, little micro moments. Who are you just as a person? Like that's your story too. Right. So it doesn't have to be just that before and after, but it's literally your story is the ROI is it's literally the only thing that's going to make you different than anyone else who is promising the same result essentially, right? They're all saying that they're going to do the same thing. So if you can have a lineup of people, they're going to choose someone who they connect with. They're like, I have similar values to them based on their story, what they believe in, what they stand for, what they stand against, what they've been through. Commonalities really connect people. People immediately feel, oh my gosh, when I know someone, I'm a twin mom. So if I meet a twin mom, we are best friends immediately. It's like a secret club. The second I meet a twin mom, I'm like, we're best friends. Or I'm from New York. If I meet a New Yorker, there's just something about us that like I can connect with. These commonalities really draw people in. And I'm going to hire a twin mom photographer, a New Yorker photographer over someone who's not. And it's just because like I can feel comfortable talking to them, you know? So these like, especially if you're sharing something vulnerable, people are really going to connect. But even if it's just something like that, it's not a vulnerable moment. It's just a commonality that immediately increases trust. And right now in 2025, there's a lot of people online. There's a lot of people sharing. You need to have that trust built because people have been burned. They've hired people and have been really disappointed in the work. They've been promised things they weren't. So they're cautious. They're buying, but they're cautious. And so if you can build
Mm.
that trust a little bit more by just sharing a little more behind the scenes of who you are, it's 100% going to help your conversions.
And yeah, I totally agree that's how I have to remember that's how I'm hiring people. If
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, or even just having, Megan, having you on the podcast because I
The
totally
theater.
just theater. I just
Yeah,
related with you
exactly.
and yeah, and I felt like we just clicked really.
I've had people literally hire me because we have a shared love of Harry Potter. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, long-term clients who've invested a lot of money in coaching because that started the conversation, you know? And one last thing I'll say that I always, anyone here know Farmer's Dog? It's a dog food.
Mm-hmm.
Husband and I use it for our dog Luna, and she's our first child. She's our life. Like before our twins were born, she was our whole world. She still is. And I remember seeing this Farmer's Dog commercial, and it just hit me because it's a dog food. There's a lot of dog foods, right? It's not a service, but it's a product, but it's a very common product. And it was taking someone throughout their whole life of there being like a baby when the dog was there when this girl was born. And then you see the dog passing when she's an adult with her own baby. I literally get like teary-eyed like thinking of this commercial.
Oh,
So the dog
yes.
was there from when she was born to when her daughter was born,
Oh my
which is an
gosh.
incredibly long life. I
Mm-hmm.
really think about it. I don't know how possible that is, but like basically it was like a very long time. And they said it came back to Farmer's Dog. Farmer's Dog, the message isn't buy this dog food because it's healthy. It's I want my dog to live as long as possible. And if buying them a slightly expensive dog food is going to do it, or I think it is, you're convincing me it is, I'm going to buy it. Now we already
Mm.
had Farmer's Dog, but I was like, I would have bought it because of that. And so I think the same thing for photography, the same thing for any service or product. Like, what are you actually selling? You're not selling photography, right? Like, I look back at my maternity shoot and I'm like, oh my gosh, those are priceless photos. So, you guys, especially, are just, it's so much more than a photo, you know? So, just
Mm.
think of that. I just wanted to share that because I love that commercial. Look it up. It's really great and very inspiring for content creation.
Megan, thank you so much for
Yeah,
sharing all of
of course.
that. So, next up is someone who brings both creativity and clarity to the table, Mrs. Ivy Towler. Ivy is not only a talented photographer, but also a functional nutrition practitioner who helps women uncover root causes. She's passionate about helping others reclaim their energy, balance their hormones, and feel empowered in their bodies through real food and personalized care. Another twin mom. It didn't even
Another
dawn
twin
on me that
mom.
my both of my my speakers are twin moms.
That's so funny. Mine are probably a lot older than Megan since they're my youngest and they're 16 and they'll be juniors in high school. So, um, anyway, thanks for having me on, Kate. This is
Yeah.
so fun to see everybody and to see you in your damn cute glasses. I'm just staring at you. You're so adorable. Jeez.
Oh, you're adorable. So I have some questions for Miss Ivy
Yes.
with wellness. So Ivy and I know each other from photography, but she's also the person that in our group chat, we have a Boss Babes group chat that we are always asking her any kind. I think, well, between Ivy and Susan, we're asking about anything health.
Yeah.
So Ivy, what's one wellness myth that you wish we could cancel for good?
I don't think we should limit it to one, Kate. I think we should just get rid of all of them. They're a mess. There's so many out there. Probably when you presented this, my first thought was, okay, doing anything with severity or harshness or limiting something so much that you don't have the variety. So like being vegan, being carnivore, being like avoid all seed oils, or it only matters calories in, calories out, or low carb, low fat, high protein. I mean, there's so much out there. It is overwhelming, it's exhausting, and each one of those, even though they all have a purpose and a use, I just don't feel someone should go all in on one and then forget everything else. So it's more like if we're going to get rid of one thing, I think we should just get rid of the word diet and just start living our lives and just do it smart, tune into how we feel, and know that every single thing out there will work for some people, but not all people. And it'll work at varying degrees. Someone goes on a ketogenic diet, they're going to feel amazing. In fact, I think if everybody went on a ketogenic diet, they would feel good for a short amount of time. And then you're going to feel like crap. And then you're going to feel good. And then you're going to see some results. And your husband's going to see amazing results. And you're going to be like, wow, I went on this to lose weight and I lost 1 pound and he lost 25. And you just flip them off because you're so pissed at him. And it's because we're all built different. We all have completely different histories. Our genetics are different, how we were raised, what we've gone through in our lifetime, how our body can use what we're giving it. So just, I think, get rid of the word diet and get rid of extreme dogma and the craziness of you must do this, you must do that. Because it's much more nuanced and varied than that.
Right. And I feel like
So,
we all, I think that when you have a craze and or if you see that something works for somebody else, then you're like, well, I'm going to do
right.
it. And then, like you said, if your husband or whoever does
Oh,
the same
yeah.
thing, and then you get pissed because
Yes.
they're,
Well, and if something worked for me, I'd be like, oh my God, you guys, you all have to try
mm,
this. It was awesome. But that doesn't mean it will work for everybody. Maybe half of
mhm.
you'll be like, oh yeah, that was great. And the other half are like, why the fuck didn't that work for me? You'd just be upset. You'd be like, what's going on? So yeah.
Well, so kind of going with that, you're all about root cause healing. What's
Mhm.
one overlooked like signal our bodies are always trying to send us?
Well, our bodies can only talk to us in so many ways. Like a really common one that people will know would be pain. Something
Mm,
hurts, something's going on. Um, if you're hungry, you need to eat. If you're thirsty, you need to drink. So your body is constantly giving you signals. So, and to marry this with the first question, there really isn't just one way that our body would talk to us. I think pain is probably the most obvious one, but what caused your headache today is not necessarily what caused my headache today.
mm,
So it would be really hard to understand the reason for it. And that is the whole reason for the root cause, is just to understand, okay, we all got to this point. We all have the same diagnosis, but each one of us has a different way of reversing it or getting back to a healthier state so we don't still have these symptoms. You got to take care of your gut. You got to take care of your immune system. You have to go way inside. Sometimes it's a stress thing. oftentimes it's a little bit of everything, and maybe one or two things are highlighted because they're just a little bit more punchy and they're causing some more of the troubles. So, you know, we're all this modern world that we live in. It is just, it's crazy. We are all under so much stress and so much pressure, whether it's stuff we put on ourselves, stuff that we feel from the people in our lives, from our jobs. It's a lot to handle. And so I don't want us to get overwhelmed with any one thing, but trying to listen to your body through all of that can be difficult. So I'd say just give yourself some time to just come back, do some deep breathing, and just start paying attention to your body. If we're talking about food, if you go out and you eat donuts and pancakes and waffles and orange juice or mimosas at breakfast and you feel like shit for the next 24 hours, well, that might be a clue that maybe you shouldn't eat that all the time anyway. So you need to listen to your body. Pain is obviously an easy one, but there's, gosh, perimenopause can have up to about 100 symptoms if you really want to go deep into that. And, how do you know if your headaches are from perimenopause or if they're because you didn't drink enough water, if it's because you're under a lot of stress or you had a bad pillow or you drank too much last night?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be curious about your health to get down to it. And because there's so much information out there, that's where like functional nutrition counselors, we kind of fill the gap between you and your doctor. And when you're trying to digest everything you just saw on TikTok and heard in your group chat, there's so much information out there. You need someone to help guide you. So if you're not able to do it on your own, then you can get somebody to help you.
So, with all of that, Ivy, what is your go-to ritual when you feel off, but you still have to show up?
This was me yesterday. I was a piece of poop yesterday. I was so tired. And I know it was right after I ate. And I'm like, well, that was there was more carbs in there, but I was already in a mood and I was in a funk and I had to get groceries and I did not want to go. I know it sounds like such a big thing or it's such a small thing to complain about, but I was just like, I don't want to go to the store. I don't want to talk to people. I don't want to move. I just want to go take a nap. Now, on some days, I will. I'll just go take a little 15-20 minute nap. Not much more than that because I've discovered for me, if I do the 1 or 2 hour nap, I wake up feeling worse and then I don't sleep well at night. But that
Mm.
those short naps, I can tolerate one of those. So if I'm able, I'll do a nap. But you said I had to show up. So if I have to show up, I move, I throw down a ton of water. I'll usually add minerals or electrolytes or like what I'm drinking today. I've got creatine, lemon juice, coconut oil, mineral water, and a scoop of electrolytes. I'll chug that. I'll move. And normally when I feel like that, I don't want to move, but truly, if I just make myself move, even if it's a fast walk around the block or run up and down the stairs or I don't know, dance party. People say dance party, and I do like those, but then sometimes I start to think while I'm in the middle of just a 4 minute song, I'm dancing, I'm like, God, I hope no one's watching me. So sometimes I get into my own head and I can't even do it. But no, jumping around and being a little crazy, that helps. So all of that, I might eat a little bit of food if I know that I need food. And even though I don't drink a lot of caffeine, I'll do half caff
Mm.
or a little bit of tea or something just to give me a boost. And music, music usually
Mm.
works. But
Mm-hmm.
yesterday I went to the store. I was going to go to one store. Like I said, I did not want to go. And I ran into a friend and she's like, How are you? I'm like, I'm so tired. And we commiserated in the aisle at the grocery store. It's just like, so are we. We were supposed to take our kids to a movie and we just couldn't do it. So I'm here grabbing some food and we're just going to watch movies at the house. I'm like, that's brilliant. Way to go.
Mm-hmm.
Way to pivot and make it work for you. But talking to her and walking around the store, I got a little bit of energy. So I went to two more stores because I was like, okay, if I can just bang this all out, I don't have to do anything tomorrow. So I
Mm.
went to Costco and everybody knows Costco on the weekend. That's dumb. And I did it. So I went to Costco and I got some
Yeah,
fun
wow.
stuff. I know. And then I finally hit our local grocery store, Hy-Vee, and got the last few things I needed. And I was like, saw another person I haven't seen in like 10 years, visited with her, thought, all right, this turned out to be a pretty good day. And then just kept going.
And
But
look, if you wouldn't have got yourself hyped up to go, you wouldn't have seen all
mm-mm,
those people.
no. So movement and hydration and a little bit of
Movement and
caffeine.
hydration.
Yeah, all of the
Those
things
threes. Yeah,
added
the
up. But
three
those,
things.
I suppose if I had to have it written down, I think hydration, movement, music, and half calf. That's what I wrote down.
Nice. Nice. I love it. So four.
Yeah, so four things,
Four
but
things.
if it's 3 in the afternoon, like if it was right now and I needed to boost energy, I'm not going to throw the caffeine in there.
Right.
I'll
Right.
just do a
Just
little
kind of,
bit.
yeah.
Yeah. And I think talking to the two people at the two different stores, that was great. It lifted my mood so
Mm.
much. And I think that that pulls you out of some of that fatigue if you're just not wanting to do something. So that was pretty neat.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ivy.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do a quick little transition here of three things that I wish I knew before starting my photography business. Number one, being a great photographer isn't enough. You can have stunning work and you can still hear crickets. And I feel like this is kind of what like Megan was kind of talking about. If no one knows about you, you know, again, you're going to have this great work and there's going to be crickets, but the real secret is learn how to market yourself. And as, you know, just as well as you compose your shot. Building a business is just as much about connection, storytelling, and visibility as it is about talent. And number two is charge like a business, not like a hobby. And I know that this is like hard for, I feel like, every creative. And I don't think it matters if in your first year or in your 15th year. It's not about what others are charging, it's about what you need to thrive. And I wish I had started by calculating my costs, like taxes, gear, software, time, and setting boundaries early. Discounting your worth isn't sustainable, and confidence grows when your prices match your value. So just remember all of the things like I've learned where you have to like write down all of the things that you are paying for to be a business and let that kind of help, you look at what your pricing is. And again, you don't have to look at what other people are charging. And then number three, your mindset matters just as much as your skill. Running a business, and this is kind of going with Ivy a little bit, running a business means facing uncertainty, rejection, and burnout. I wish I learned sooner how important it was to set healthy boundaries and believing in myself, even when the results don't come immediately. Your mindset can be your biggest asset or your biggest roadblock. And I feel like that can be kind of even what Megan was talking about with like if you put something out there on Instagram and you're like, "Oh, that only got 4 likes." That's not what you're doing. That's just, that's just something that you're a nugget you're throwing out there, and don't think that those likes are what your value is. I just want to give another big thank you to my speakers, Megan and Ivy. If you liked hearing them here, you'll love their episodes. And Megan is going to be in season 1, and Ivy will be already. I'm thinking of season 2, and Ivy will be a guest in season 2. So don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss a thing. Welcome to the photo confession booth.
Hello, my name is Ivy, and my confession from about 13, 14 years ago when I started my photography business, I was photographing my first high school senior boys, or first high schoolers of any kind, and I worked with one of their moms. There's 3 boys total. We did all their sessions, everything was great, they had good orders, I was feeling pretty awesome, like, okay, I can do the senior thing. I had to submit their photos to their yearbook, and I didn't know how to reach the yearbook people. So I Googled Prairie High School, local high school, got that in, got a hold of the yearbook teacher, whoever took care of that. I emailed her the boys' photo. She said they look great. everything was done. The parents kept checking with me. They're like, oh, they keep sending us emails that they need our yearbook photos. And I'm like, well, I have an email here that says that your yearbook lady got them. So it must just be that mass email that everybody sends out to remind everyone, get them in, it's time. So a year later almost, because they get their yearbooks at the end of the summer after they graduate, all 3 boys are missing from the yearbook. They're not in there. I'm crying. I have one of the moms crying. I feel like shit. I'm like, no, I think I'm done. I don't think I can do any more senior pictures. This is soul crushing. I emailed the yearbook lady. She goes, we got them. You know, yeah, we got them. I remember getting them. I said, okay. And then I looked into asking her a couple more questions, and we figured out I emailed a high school in the state of Washington, and I'm in Iowa. So when I did my Google search trying to find my high schools, the place I'm supposed to send them, they were even the same school colors. It was bizarro that I pulled up a high school that was on the other side of the country. Anyway, it sucked. Made it through it. Didn't quit seniors. Happy I didn't, but that's my confession. So,
my name is Wendy Ewing. I own Studio Photography. I've been a photographer for 30 some years, but this was something that happened a good 20 years into my career. So I should have been really professional by then. But I was doing a mini family session, a super mini family session, I should say, for some good clients of mine at their dairy farm south of town. And we planned it to be right before sunset, golden hour, so we'd have perfect light and get in and get out, get done quick, and got everything set up. Had a cute little red velvet prop bench. The cows were all curious, so they were up close in the background. They actually fed them to make sure they came up to the little feeders and everything. Anyway, get ready to start the shoot, get everyone perfect, and my camera, nothing at all. What was wrong? I had no SD card in my camera. Yep, that's me. That's what I did. Anyway, so I raced back to town, and this was like 20 minutes from town, to my studio to get a card. Thankfully, it was in my card reader at the studio, at the computer, and raced back. I think I made it in like 30 minutes instead of 40 minutes, and rushed through the shoot. Had to use lighting at the end because it got dark too fast. Everything went well, but huge lesson learned. I now have a camera, a Sony, so it has 2 card readers or card slots, so that ain't ever happening again. And I always have a good 20 cards with me, I think, so I'm always prepared. Thanks, bye.
Hi, I'm Susan from Susan Grace Photography. Kate asked me to record a funny memory from a photo session that I've had. So one day, my client, who was a senior, wanted to go to a skate park that was nestled in the middle of a beautiful park setting in Philadelphia. So I looked at the calendar of this park and I didn't see any events, and I said, okay, let's go. We were in the car with her mother, her aunt, my assistant, and her. And she's only like 16 or 17 years old. And we arrive at the park and see not 1, not 2, not 100, but hundreds, maybe 1,000 naked people in this park on bicycles. As it turns out, Philadelphia has a naked annual bike run every year. And I'm not making fun of this bike run. I know it's meant to create awareness about body image and all other sorts of things. And it's, it has a purpose. However, showing up to your senior's chosen location for her senior session, which was supposed to be a skate park, and seeing hundreds, maybe 1,000 or more naked people on bicycles is a sight you will never forget. It was very funny.
Hey Kate, it's Andrew here from PhotoBizX. You've asked me to record a short photography or photography business tip for the photographer who is anything like me and quickly forgets the name of clients, which can be totally embarrassing, especially if you turn up to a shoot, you're halfway through and you just can't remember the name of the people in front of your camera. Yes, that has happened to me. I know it does happen to other photographers too. So my tip is, once you format your card or cards at the start of the session, what you do is you write the names of the clients down on a piece of paper. I usually do this on top of my camera bag in the boot of my car, write down their names, and I'll take a photo of their names. That's the very first photo on my card. So if at any time during the session I need to remember their names because I've forgotten, I quickly press play to see the last image, and I go scroll back to see the very first image. So it's just one flick of the button, and you'll see the very first image on the screen, and that will be the names of your clients. And you can continue shooting with their names at the top of your mind. So no more embarrassing moments. Super easy, super quick, super simple, and it works extremely well. So hopefully that helps you with your photography business and helps you avoid any of those embarrassing moments where you forget the names of your clients while you're photographing them. Yeah.
Hey, this is Renee Bowen. Okay, so I have definitely had some crazy, funny, weird moments in all the years I've been a photographer, especially with working with teenagers, right? But one in particular just made me laugh so much. So as much as we prepare these clients and tell them what to wear, what not to wear, including please do not wear colored underwear under white dresses and all of those kind of things. I had a girl show up for a session once, and she had this white dress that she wanted to wear, obviously, and she had on like the hottest pink bra that you could possibly ever imagine. And I don't know why, but she didn't bring any other bra. Luckily enough, it worked with all the other outfits that she had. But for this particular dress, it wasn't going to work. And then going braless wasn't going to work either. And so I was like, okay, what size bra are you? And we wore the same size bra, and I had a nude bra, and I was like, okay, we're gonna trade. So we had to trade bras. So that was a really funny one, and thankfully it worked. But since then, this was a long time ago, and so since then I always carry some various different sizes of nude bras and sticky boobs and nipple covers in my trunk of my car now, so that we are well prepared, as well as clean nude underwear, because that happens a lot as well. So that's my funny little moment.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kara Zolas from Studio Z Photography, and I am here to share with you one of my most embarrassing photo shoot moments. So here we go. Okay, so one time I had a senior session, and I'm driving to my session with my assistant, and I just, on the drive there, I needed a snack. So I was eating one of those, kind of granola bar protein bars that are dipped in chocolate and have chocolate chunks in it. Some of the chocolate, unbeknownst to me, dropped into my seat. It's amazing how just a little bit of chocolate can just wreak havoc. It can cause a lot of damage. So we get there to the session, and I get out. We're looking around at spots to shoot, and my assistant said, "Oh my gosh, you have chocolate melted all over your butt." My assistant, so she takes a water bottle and a napkin, and in a public parking lot, we're standing there. There's people around, and she is trying to scrub this off my butt. And it just was kind of making it worse. It was just kind of rubbing it right in there. The client was arriving, so I quickly just grabbed a hoodie out of the back of my car and wrapped it, tied it around my waist. So my client comes up, the mom doesn't speak any English. The senior girl, we were kind of laughing and explaining to her what happened, which, I don't know. She was trying to explain to her mom. It didn't somehow translate well, so I don't know what she was thinking really happened. But it looked like I pooped my pants, and I didn't. Kate, with this story, I love you because I would do anything for you. So that includes sharing my super embarrassing chocolate butt story.
Hey, I'm Stacy Ideas. I'm a portrait photographer in Wahoo, Nebraska. Been shooting for 25 years, so I have a lot of experience, but the story I'm about to share with you just happened this year. So it just goes to show, even if you have your shit together, sometimes we have brain farts. So I hope you enjoy my confession. So shooting this orthopedic clinic on location, 25 people and their staff. I had group shots, individual shots, headshots, shots of their space, shots of them in action. And then, like a quarter of the way into the session, my battery light flashes red. I have no backup. I have no charger. FML. So, like any true professional, I got a plan, and I was extremely efficient. I shut my camera off in between setups, and it all worked out, thank God. And they spent a lot of money with me. So it worked out. But charge your shit, people. Important.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I feel like that should be maybe a shirt or something for photographers, like charge your shit, people. So to all my friends who spilled their photo confessions, thank you for keeping it real. You might recognize some of those confessions as some of our upcoming guests for the podcast. So make sure you follow along on your streaming platform for all the episodes. Before we wrap up, I just want to give another huge shout out to all the incredible sponsors who made this launch not just possible, but literally next level. Taylor Aller of Aller Enterprises, photobiz.com, The Coffee Roaster in Lincoln, Nebraska, White House Custom Color, a massive thank you for gifting over $1,000 worth of giveaways today. And then Rockbrook Camera. I'm so grateful. Thank you guys so much. I love all of you. Whew. What a ride, right? Thank you so much for joining me for this special bonus episode of The One Behind the Lens. Whether you were celebrating live on Zoom or tuning in from your car, your couch, or your studio, I'm beyond grateful that you're part of this community. A huge shout out to the photographers who shared their confessions. Thank you for keeping it real and reminding us that we're all human behind the lens. This launch was only the beginning. I've got so many juicy conversations, solo episodes, and bonus surprises coming your way. If you loved today's episode, be sure to follow, leave a review, and share it with a photographer friend who might need just a little encouragement and inspiration. Until next time, don't forget to shutter up and shine, friends.